I wanted to go over attribute joins and then just very briefly over the spatial joins. Several students on the exam had a lot of difficulty identifying the cardinality of the spatial join of the attribute joins, and also there seemed to be some confusion over what is the key field. So I'm going to try this a little bit differently and see if it's helpful. So I've got two attribute tables here, or an attribute table and a standalone table, and I'm looking at this has all of the state by abbreviation. So there's 51 records altogether, and it has their population at the end of it. And let's say I have a table that also has 51 records, and I want to add the name of the current governor for each of those states. So I want to take this source data and have it added to the destination table. So my first task is to find out if it's to make a spatial join. I can only have one record in the source data. I can't have duplicates. So if I have 51 records and I look at the governor's names, well, there would be 51 different names, although we could have Smith and Smith be the name of different of two different governors in different states. So that might not be a one-to-one record in the governor field. If I look at this field that I named Apple, because field names don't have to make sense, I would find that, okay, I have one state listed and there's no duplicates of the state abbreviation. So now I've got to go over to my destination and find, is there any record that I can match one-to-one in my key field? And so obviously here we're looking at the state abbreviation. So I have Oregon here and it matches with Oregon there. Washington here matches with Washington there, and on down. It doesn't matter what my field name is. What matters is, can I take this record, add it directly here, and have it match up? And if that's the case, then I have a one-to-one joining relationship, and my key fields would be Apple and state. If this were my source data, and I wanted to be able to join, I could look and say, oh, I see an Oregon here and an Oregon there, so state name could be the key field here and state over here. However, when I go through this table, I see that Oregon is listed 3 times. So this is not a one relationship. This has many Oregons. ArcMap will let me make a join, and it will just choose one of these Oregons to add over to that destination. So when I'm talking about a key field, I'm talking about the actual record. Does it match another actual record identically? So over here I have a destination table, and I want to be able I don't know what I want to do with this one. Oh, maybe I want to add the state crime rate for each of the counties, and that would be a really dumb thing to do, because anyway, but let's just say I'm trying to do that. And so I've got state name Alaska here and state name Alaska there. These happen to match, which is nice, name and name. And I've got Nevada and Nevada and Tennessee and Tennessee. So let's say I go through and I have 51 records here. So that, and each state is only listed once. This one would have 3,141 counties, something like that. But the state would be listed multiple times. So this is a many, and this is a one. And yes, I can still do an attribute join, because this Alaska crime rate information can be added. Well, let's not, let's insert. It can be added multiple times. So I can take this here, and when I do my join, it would be added there, and there, and there, oops, and there. So that would be added throughout with my many-to-one join, or my many-to-one or my one-to-one. Because when we're talking about attribute joins, Price always mentions the destination table first and the source table second. And not so much when she gets into spatial joins, but we'll get there later. So let's look at this one. I have all 50 states, Oregon, Idaho, and I have source data, Eugene, Medford. So I can't do a join here because I have a key field, Oregon, state Oregon, and abbreviation Oregon, state Idaho, and abbreviation Idaho. So that could be a key field, but this is not a one relationship. I've got 4 Oregons. So I could not do a join here. I could do a relate if I needed to. If this were switched, if this were my destination and this table were my source, and I had each state with the abbreviation, and I wanted to put the abbreviation here, I wanted to put the state name here, then I could join this. So this Oregon would be added here, here, and there. The Idaho would be added there, there, and there. So that would be a many-to-one relationship with joins. But a lot of people got really confused on the key field. They found abbreviation here, or region here, and region here, and said that could be their key field. Or found state name here and said that could be a key field. But you couldn't use that as a key field if it was more than one in your source. So I was trying to think about a way to talk about the spatial joins, and as I said in class, and I don't know that I said this on the overview video, I find her one-to-one and one-to-many cardinality rather confusing, and I did a little internet search this morning, and I don't find those terms used frequently when talking about spatial joins. I see inside, distance, simple, and summarized, and those are the terms that I see used more often. But I'll try to see if I can either confuse you more or clarify it a little bit. So, for example, I've got I have a polygon of city blocks and a polygon of swimming pools, and there are a lot of swimming pools in this area. And I want to know for each swimming pool, I need to have the city block number added for some reason, for testing the water or health safety or whatever. So I want to take this city block information, and for each block that a pool falls inside, I want to add that information about the block. So that's a one-to-one relationship because each pool will have one record added to it. There's no counting, there's no duplicating, there's no summarizing. I'm just getting the 30 records I started with, and I will end up with 30 records. There are many city blocks. There's 300 city blocks. So there's many city blocks that will not have not be represented in my spatial join, and there's some city blocks that could be represented twice. So let's say there are 2 pools and they both are in the same city block, so that could be recorded more than once. So that's each pool is going to have one record, and that's kind of a simple inside join. And to have an inside join, I have to have a polygon. But let's switch that around, and let's say, but now I want to know for each city block how many pools are in that block. Again, my city blocks now are going to be my my destination, and my pools are going to be my source data, and each block is going to have a count of the pools. So the word count kind of clues me in that there's a many relationship here. So I've got every block So I've got 300 blocks. I'm not going to end up with any more than 300 records when I'm done. And some records will have no pools in it, and some records will have one pool, and there may be records with 4 or 5 pools in it if they're big blocks and small pools. So that would be an inside summarized join. So again, I've got polygons in both of those, so that gives that inside join piece. If I had point file of schools, and I have 100 schools in this little neighborhood, and I've got my 30 pools, schools and pools, and I want to kind of plan the summer swim classes for summer school kids, and I want to know how many pools. Oh, no, I'm doing that one wrong. Sorry. Yep. I'm back to here. Yeah, so I want to know how many pools are closest to each school. So again, it's not how many pools, it's which pool. Again, I'm going to have kind of a relationship where every school is going to be listed. So I'm going to end up with 100 records, and then the pool that it is uniquely close to will be appended at the end of my school data. So, and there may be many schools using the same pool, right? So for each pool, so that should be, best of my recollection, a many to one. And I will be given, the school would be given the pool and the distance it is from the pool. And so that's a simple distance join. And then the last one, again, is pools and schools. So I've switched those around, and I want to count. I want to know for each pool how many schools can it potentially serve, how many schools are closer to it than any other school, going with the assumption that kids are going to go to the closest school. And so that should be a one-to-many because I end up with a count of schools. So from what I can tell from her description, every time we have a count, that is a many on that end. So each pool, again, I'm going to end up with 30 records, and each pool will have a count of the schools closest to it. It will not give me a distance because remember, each school could be a little farther from other schools, so it's just going to give me which one is closest than the others, and that's a summarized distance join. Again, she does ask you about the cardinality. I'm not going to ask you about the cardinality for spatial joins. It is important, and I think somewhat more understandable in the attribute joins.